On October 6, 2008, Spotify was released to the world by Daniel Elk and Martin Lorenzon in the intent to make all the world's music accessible. But I believe that music streaming platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, and Apple Music have inadvertently hurt how we as people consume media such as music. Music is a core cultural phenomenon, a basis for connection and conversation for people all over the globe. The earliest evidence of musical instruments are over 40,000 years old, those being flutes made from bones and mammoth ivory. Ever since then, music has evolved and changed so drastically, being adapted into many different genres, and with that comes the diversity of everyone's personal music tastes. With over 100 million different songs by 9.75 million artists on Spotify, it's no wonder that everyone has their own personal collection of songs that resonate with them, and yet we can find others who share these tastes so easily. The age of physically recorded music skyrocketed with the advent of vinyl records, these being discs of plastic with grooves imprinted into them that can reproduce sound when spun on a platter with a needle. With a new way to play music outside of live performances, artists now have the power to share their music with anyone, so long as they have the means to play the recording. The vinyl market reached its heights in the 1970s, with over 300 million LPs and EPs sold every year. People now had a physical way of owning the music that they hold close to them, and a way of listening to it at any time they please. Over the passing years, physical music would come to exist in many forms, the main three being vinyl, cassette tapes, and CDs. And with these thriving mediums, people had a physical connection to their music, and the way in which they consume the content. However, after the release of digital music streaming services, the way in which we as people engage with music has shifted dramatically. Now, all the world's music is available at the press of a button, any kind of music, instantly. These streaming services promote the cyclical nature of pursuing new song after new song, with auto-generated playlist after company-curated compilation. The experience of buying a new album, taking it home and listening to it for the first time is now null and void, as we can skip all that human experience and simply just binge the playlist with no real intention. Though, streaming services have their pros. Getting into a new artist is easier than ever before, as you no longer must track down a copy of their album or do research to make the best decision of which to buy. Now you have access to their entire catalogue without delay, and some platforms even offer helpful statistics like Spotify with their most popular songs and artist picks. However, this lacks a fundamental aspect of what made music such a social pillar, the human interaction. No longer do you have to get recommendations from friends or suggestions from shop owners. In the modern age of consuming music, it's all stripped of all personability. The most pressing issue with streaming services is the lack of preservation. The music you have collected into playlists only exists so long as the internet persists and the streaming service stays live. But if any of this fails, then you're left with nothing. It's vitally important to document human history, not only for us now, but for future generations to remember their roots and where they came from. Streaming services don't offer any type of preservation, as all the music exists on a centralized database that could go down or be wiped at any moment. If music really matters to you, and to others, then you should understand the severity of this. The culmination of people's efforts to create music should be preserved for centuries to come. With physical mediums of music, if preserved correctly, the content should be saved for centuries, which is huge for preservation efforts. If you want a world with music, you need a world with physical preservation.